Here we go. On the road. 27.
Hey everybody, welcome to the program. This is the world famous Chairborne Commandos radio show, Collector's Edition, back in your life. Great to have you here. My name's Quinn. I am the host. Gang's all here. We got JT in studio. He's going to bring it solid. Special guest today. Wait for it. It's none other than Joe Teti. He makes an emergency call in. And we talk some very interesting subjects, mainly for those of you that train, like to do a little shooting. You consider yourself a shooter. He's got some really cool stuff there as far as the process, the Ooda Loop. Fantastic interview. That's coming up towards the end of the show. You don't want to miss it. Calling Joe Teti.
Should crank call him.
We could, but I think he knows the number by now. Called him a couple times. He's probably got it locked somewhere.
Hello.
Hey, Joe, it's Chairborne Commandos.
Hey, what's going on, man?
You got good copy on your end?
Yeah, just it's storming pretty good here, but I think we'll be okay for 5-10 minutes.
Hey, no
Every
problem.
time.
No problem.
Cool.
What's going on, Joe?
Hey, man, how you guys been?
Good, man. Sounds like you've been pretty busy yourself the few times I've been talking with you. So really thank you for coming on the show again, brother.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, just, a lot going on, getting closer to October for season 4 duel. But I've been doing a lot of the speaking engagements and training, and I've been going to a few schools as well. So, I've been real busy, man. It's been good.
When you say schools, what type of schools are you going to?
I went to a lead climbers course in Boone, which is about 2 hours from my house. And then I went to a swiftwater rescue course at the U.S. National Whitewater Center in Charlotte. That was pretty interesting. I don't know if you ever heard of the place, but that's where the Olympic athletes for the whitewater rafting event goes, that they train there. It's pretty cool, man. They spent, I think, $26 million on this facility. And they've got everything from class 1 rapids all the way to class 4. And the course I went through basically taught you how to rescue people out of the water. You had to swim in it and rescue guys. And it was a lot of fun. It was a blast.
Is this in preparation for the series? You got some stuff that you got to do? Or
Yeah, it is. A couple of the episodes that we did, we were near water and some pretty swift running water. And I just thought it would be a good idea for me to get some advanced training on how to rescue someone if they went in, some pretty bad rapids, because there's a very specific way that you would rescue someone without, risking somebody else. So, so I did that. And also, I'm sure we'll be doing some climbing. I did some climbing last season. And so, these are all perishable skills too, guys. You have to understand. Like anything, whether it's shooting or climbing or whatever it is, if you don't use it, you lose it. And, I don't get a chance to do a lot of climbing. I love it. But so I went to a lead climbers course in Boone with some real top end guys. And we spent a few days up there climbing and, just getting myself ready,
So did you watch any football this weekend?
Man, I don't watch professional sports.
Gotcha.
I'm one of those guys. I just don't watch sports. Just not my thing.
Nice. Sorry, I just had to ask.
Yeah, the only thing that I know, because I saw it on the news, and I've met Tim Tebow. I did actually a speaking engagement with him a few months ago at the Bilo Arena. Excuse me. And I know that he's kind of having a hard time right now finding a job, but he's a super good guy. I'm sure whatever he decides to do, he'll be successful at it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Well, look, I know your time's limited, and you came on to talk a little OODA loop. Do we have enough time to at least scratch the surface on that?
Yeah, dude. By all means. I think it's a really really important aspect of training that a lot of people just really gloss over. And I, for one, don't. I think it's a gold nugget in anyone's tactical toolbox. Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's talk about it. You guys have heard about it before, I assume.
Yes, but let's quickly, if you can, give us a quick overview for those listeners who have not or are not familiar with that, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, the Ooda Loop. A little history on it. It was actually coined the Ooda Loop, OODA, Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act, in the 1950s by a gentleman, Colonel Boyd, who was a fighter pilot. And actually, he was also a commander, I believe, of a fighter group, of an F-86 fighter group during the latter part of the Korean War. And what his belief was that even though the F-86 fighter that we had at that time was not as good as the MiG-15s of that time, he really believed that even though the pilots were disadvantaged, he believed that a competent pilot could still overcome that disadvantage by attacking the mind, quote unquote, of his opponent. And his observations basically led to a greater understanding of human reaction time, and then coining it the Ooda Loop. And quite frankly, this guy, from what I read about him, his pilots had a 10-to-1 kill ratio over the superior MiG-15. So what he came up with actually worked. So what it boils down to is, human reaction time is defined as the time between the onset of a stimulus, whatever that may be, and the onset of a response to that stimulus. And so going through the Ooda Loop, observe, orient, decide, and act, you basically observe something happening. So let's just say you're driving down the road, and you see the car in front of you hit their brakes and the bright lights come on. You are now observing a stimulus. You are then going to orient to it. You're going to look at it, and you're basically going to say, uh-oh, this guy is hitting his brakes. I need to do something. That is where the decision part, observe, orient, decide, hey, I need to hit the brakes, and then act, and then you hit the brakes. You do it every day. You do it, I do it, people do it hundreds and hundreds of times a day. You just don't even know you're doing it because it's just a natural function of the human psyche. And a lot of people will say, well, how fast is the Ooda Loop? That's a big question that I always get when I'm training guys on shooting. And that depends on numerous factors. And it really boils down to what you would call simple reaction time, which is basically one stimulus and one response. And that's around 220 milliseconds. Is what the basic response is. And that's just observing and orient. That's not going all the way through your Ooda Loop. And what can happen, a lot of people don't understand this, is that Boyd and other researchers found out that there are other factors that can affect your Ooda Loop. One of them is if you have more than one response to a stimulus. And this actually plays into shooting. And I'll give you an example. What do you do when you have a malfunction, like a type 1 malfunction? Tap rack assess or tap rack bang, whatever your school of thought is. They found out that if you have more than one response, that it'll actually slow your response time down by about 50% because your mind can't figure out, should it do A or should it do B? So, yeah, it's really fascinating stuff. And that's why when you talk about tactical training, things need to be very quickly. If A happens, you do B. Not you do B, C, D, whatever. You do this. Because the quicker you can go through your Ooda Loop, the better. Another factor that will definitely slow down your Ooda Loop is fatigue. And I remember reading about Colonel Boyd and the planes that they were flying. And this is how detailed this guy was. The pilots that flew the F-86s, the F-86 was slower and less maneuverable than the MiG-15s that they were flying against. The F-86 was fully hydraulically controlled, and the MiG-15 was only hydraulically assisted. And what that meant was that it was actually harder to physically fly the MiG-15 than it was the F-86. So Boyd found out that the more his pilots maneuvered and the longer a dogfight persisted, the more fatigued the MiG pilots became, and the slower the reaction time got, until the F-86 pilots were able to basically maneuver their aircraft into a position of dominance and shoot the plane down. So it's really fascinating stuff. What I tell people when it comes to shooting is if you can get your draw time in one round on the target under a second, that's really good. And I know a lot of people think that, hey, that's impossible, but it's really not. I've actually done a video. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. I was down in Florida, and they've got me doing, sub 1 second draws, 0.75, 0.85. It's really not that difficult if you practice it. But that's basically the Ooda Loop in a nutshell, is just moving through the decision-making process of whatever you're doing as quickly as you can, and basically getting on the inside track of your opponent is what it is.
Can you give us specifically, like you talk about shooting, do you have an example of an Ooda Loop that you have and use where it's maybe different than what the general public might perceive, and you've trained it, you use it, and it works? Do you have anything like that we could kind of latch on to? Because I think it's fascinating what you've shared with us. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you what I do every day, about 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week in my house.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a SIRT pistol?
Yep.
Okay. There's a gentleman, Mr. Hughes, who owns a company called Next Level Training, and he makes the SIRT pistol. And basically all it is it looks like a Glock, and it shoots out a laser. It weighs the same, but it shoots out a laser, and it's a training pistol. So what I do is I will stand behind my couch, and I will stand in front of my TV, and I'll have my pistol holstered. And what I will say to myself is, the next male that I see, I am going to draw and take a shot.
Oh, I love it.
I'll be watching TV. But here's the beauty of it. You have to wait to see the male, because it's making you go through your Ooda Loop. Sometimes I'll get very specific. I may even say I'm going to wait for a male with dark hair or a woman with dark hair. So I really have to key in on very specific things about that person. That is what has taken my draw time from about 1.5 seconds under a second. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but in a gunfight, you guys know, that's like taking a runner that runs a 5-minute mile down to a 3-minute mile.
Right.
It's huge.
Do you practice the traditional, like, 4-stroke draw? I mean, same thing they teach in the military and the top units, same thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, man, 4-stroke draw, and, it's just obviously you're speeding it up a little bit, but it's all mechanics and, weapons manipulation, and I think that, it's great to know the Ooda Loop and understand how it works, but you have to combine that with solid weapons manipulation and, weapons drills at the same time, because one won't work without the other.
Here's the there's a question I gotta ask then for the average listener, because we have combat veterans, and then we've got just civilians that are fans of the show. If they've never been properly trained, and say somebody implements this, is there a possibility that with the repetition and shooting bad guys on the TV, because I love the concept, is there a possibility that somebody might develop bad habits, and then if they get training down the road, it would be more difficult to train them properly?
Well, dude, that's actually funny you should say that. I've always told people that if you're not trained the right way from the get-go, those are absolutely the hardest students to work with, because now you've got to break them of bad habits, and then you've got to train them the right way. And normally in a 2 or 3 day course, man, just by the time you're unscrewing their bad habits, the course is over.
Right.
I would just caution people that if you're going to practice this kind of stuff, make sure you're practicing it the correct way. Don't form bad habits because, you're only becoming your own worst enemy. And, study about the Ooda Loop. I mean, God, you can go online and read about it. I mean, that's where I learned all of my nitnoid facts about it, is just reading online and different blogs and, Wikipedia and whatnot. And then I've read a few books about it as well. But to answer your question, yeah, man, you've got to train the right way. I say it all the time, train like your life depends on it, because someday it might. And so, but I do that 5 days a week, man. I take 10, 15 minutes a day. That's it. Just to keep it going and to keep my, skills sharp. And it really helps doing it on TV, because you can't predict what's going to show up on TV. Yep. And that'll really get you working on your Ooda Loop. And believe me, you can refine it. You can make it faster. It just takes time.
I love it. Well, look, it's been about 15 minutes. I respect your time. I don't want to keep you any longer. Plus, if there's a storm, who knows? You might have to grab the go bag and get out of Dodge. So,
I tell you, man, it's been raining here literally like 45 days. Every day it's been raining. So
I blame JT for that. He is an omen for inclement weather. This guy, wherever you go, a rain cloud is close by, I tell you.
Yeah, no kidding.
What have you guys been up to before we get off? What have you guys been doing since last time we spoke?
Go ahead, JT. What have you been doing? Your life is exciting. You're still fighting crime.
Yeah. Moved cross country. I told you where I'm living now, but just really been bought a new house, trying to get that all set up, and family moved in. But that's about all I've been doing.
Gotcha.
And dove season opens up on Saturday, so I'm pumped about that.
There you go.
That's about all that's
Good
really
deal.
been going on with me, man. Too much.
For me, it's been weddings, and I went to the Connecticut SWAT convention. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's probably one of the biggest ones in the country. Really a premier event. Hung out with a bunch of guys, and that's it. Just hanging out.
Wow. I actually just got back last weekend from the Greensboro Gun Show.
Oh, awesome!
And that was a huge gun show in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I was there with Liberty Ammunition. It's one of the companies that I endorse their product. I don't know if you ever heard of Liberty Ammo.
Oh yeah.
But if I'll tell you what, man, I've tested a lot of ammunition, and this stuff is head and shoulders above anything out there. We went down to the Gilchrist Lodge in Florida, and because when they told me about the ammo, they were telling me all the ballistics and stuff, and I was like, you know what, that's BS. I'm not buying it. They said they had a 9mm round coming out of the barrel at 2,000 feet per second.
Holy shit,
and
that's a burner.
I'm like, I said, I don't believe it. And dude, literally, they flew me down to this very high-end hunting lodge in Florida, and we were shooting gel blocks and hams and all kinds of different stuff. Chronograph machine we had down there. I actually hunted a boar. I shot a wild boar at 204 meters with an M4, and it dropped it right in its tracks like it was hit by a sledgehammer. But really, really good ammunition, radical technology, and bullet design, and it's great stuff, man. I'll tell you, it's not plinking ammo. It's not something you're going to want to go out unless you have a lot of money, go out and plinking with. But as far as ammo you're going to carry in your weapon to protect yourself, your family. It hands down, there's nothing on the market close to it.
What about recoil management and like a 9mm pistol? Did you find it was snapping back that much more, or did it even make a difference?
Less.
Really? Get out of here.
Man,
how is that possible?
I can tell you this. The ballistics of the round is not because they put more powder in it, because I asked that. Because I said, look, are these like plus P plus rounds? And they're like, no. They're not.
Like plus
P. It's the design of the bullet. It's the design of the bullet and the grain of the bullet. You've got a 50 grain 9mm round coming out of the muzzle at 2,000 feet per second. Actually, the recoil is a little less. It's lead free, and it's amazing, man. It's amazing technology. PJ Marks is the guy who developed these rounds, and this guy, he's a brilliant, literally a genius. I mean, in every sense of the word. And, I've tested their 45, their 40, their 9mm, and their 5.56. And I'll tell you, man, I'm a believer. That's all I shoot now, and it's good stuff. It's really, really good stuff, And it's all it's all in the bullet design. The way he has designed these rounds when it hits, and you can go on my Facebook page and look at some of my photos, that you can see when this thing hits soft tissue, within 1 inch of penetration, the round just disintegrates into like 9 or 10 different little shards. So it almost looks like a shotgun pattern. When it hits something, it just disintegrates. So you don't have that over penetration as well, which is beautiful.
Better for the house,
that's
too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Home defense, man. That's what you want.
I tell you right now, you take a shot to the thoracic cavity, you will not survive it. It's impossible, because I've seen it. I've shot the jaw blocks. We were shooting some hams. I wanted to see what it really do to like tissue, and it was just, it was devastating.
Man.
Wow.
Well, check it out if you haven't.
We got a good tip. We got some ammo. That's a wrap, man. I love it. Thanks for that. So again, just before we sign off here, where do we get a hold of Joe Teti? What's the best spots? Might as well plug the websites and stuff.
Yeah, man. You can go to my Facebook page, just Joseph Teti Dual Survival. And you can go to I basically set up a very simple fan page, which is Joseph Teti, TETI.com. And you can also go to my company website, which is loanoperatorinc.com. And, I've got some stuff on there. I'm working on some products right now as well with some other companies. Can't really talk about it until we get them done, but I've got some really cool stuff coming out that I've been working on. And we should be seeing that probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I saw the Facebook page. I like the new photo. It's got a picture of you with, looks like an M4 all hooked up, and you're facing the camera.
Yeah.
That new one?
Actually,
that's a good photo.
Yeah, we actually took a few pictures. The one photo was taken for MTM watches, because I'm going to be wearing their watch on some of the episodes of Duel. Really, really high-end watch. And then the other photos were taken when I was down in Swansboro, North Carolina, near Camp Lejeune. I'm working with a company down there called High Speed Gear, which is a U.S. manufacturer of tactical gear.
Okay.
And I'm working with them with some new products and, great stuff, made in the United States. Working closely with the founder of the company. Great guy, and some of their team down there and developing some new products for him. So just taking some time. We're trying to work out all the bugs, making sure we get it right, but really, really good tactical gear.
Awesome.
Oh, and the other school, I forgot to mention to you, I went to a covert entry course through a company called Jericho, and I was in their course for a few days. I flew out to Arizona, and they put me up and put me through the course, and it was phenomenal. I'd been through a covert entry course years back when I was in a government CT unit, but this course was unbelievable, man. This guy Dan, that owns a company. He's got techniques that made it very, very easy to refresh my skills, and we probably picked, good Lord, I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 locks while I was there in 2 days.
Oh yeah, is he an American guy that runs the show there?
Correct. Yeah, his name is Dan Etling, and the name of the company is Jericho. So for anybody, now not anybody can just go. You've got to be either sworn law enforcement, like SWAT team member, U.S. Special Operations, government Special Operations, stuff like that. He afforded me to go to it, and I still have a security clearance as well. So it was great, man. It was a lot of fun, and learned some new stuff as well. It's always trying to put new tools in my toolbox, man. That's one thing I keep telling people. Oh, you must be an expert at this, an expert. No, far from it. I don't like the term expert.
They're all dead. That's what I hear.
Yep, I'm a perpetual student, brother. I am constantly learning, reading, doing. It's a zero-sum game. You're never good enough, and at least that's my philosophy.
And don't forget to add to that shooting bad guys on TV, which I am now a fan of, by the way.
You got it.
Joe, it's a pleasure. I really respect your time, and don't be a stranger. Come back anytime. We'll definitely set you up, and we'll talk more shop, talk about the show, whatever you like.
It sounds great, man. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.
All right, brother. See you.
Later on.
What's not to like about Joe Teti?
He's a cool dude, man. When I talked to him earlier on in the week, and he was telling me some of what he was doing, I'm like, bro, you get paid to do this? He's like, I know, man. I know. It's like, it really sucks to be Joe Teti. It's like, hey, let me put you through this course. We're going to pay for it. Oh, here's your ammo sponsor, so you can go shoot whenever you want. And by the way, here's this $10,000 watch. We want you to wear this in the next show. Anything else we can do for you? Yeah, no kidding, man.
I love that, man. That's the American dream. The guy put in his time. He served. I love it when you see veterans and just people living the American dream. I go crazy for that.
Yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm really happy he's being successful, and more power to him. I really hope he continues on, and this next season of Dual Survivor goes well for him too, man.
Yeah, we'll get some insiders. I think we may have uncovered a couple of nuggets there with some of these courses, so we know there's going to be some sort of whitewater rafting or something along those lines in this show,
and some climbing, more climbing too. Yeah.
So we've probably got a couple little insiders there. That's good. I'll tell you another insider just to share how cool Joe is. I don't know if I talked about this on the last show. I told you. But when I was in his neck of the woods, we actually had plans to meet up. Now, I hadn't met him in person before, but, we've got his personal number. He's like, hey, call me if I'm in the area. We can meet up, have some beers, watch the fight. That was the plan. And as it turned up, I was about 3 hours from his 1020. So it wasn't really practical for him to do a 6-hour round trip to see me. I mean, let's face it, I wouldn't drive 6 hours to see me. So
me either.
That's not good time management there. So I told him, I said, look, too far for you to drive, but I'll take a rain check on it. So that's Joe Teti, one cool, badass dude. And if you watch him shoot on YouTube, I kind of relate this to my my background and being a baseball player. You see a guy that's a hitter, as soon as he picks up the bat and gets into the box, you watch just a practice swing and you can say, yeah, this guy can freaking smash. You watch Joe Teti run steel, you watch how he draws, you watch how he holds the weapon, you can tell right away this guy's pretty sharp. I mean, he's doing it just like he said. So watch some of his videos. He's no joke. He can freaking run. He can run steel.